Welcome back everyone. So in this second session, we are going to see some examples, some illustrations about applications of variable absorption costing methods. So let's see how can we do that. So of course, I will quickly revise the absorption and variable costing methods as I've spoken this in last session. So and after doing this, of course, we are going to see the illustrations about calculating unit product cost. So this one you have already seen it. So just quick to recap, when we calculate the product cost using the variable costing method, we don't include fixed manufacturing overhead. But when we calculate the absorption costing in terms of product cost, we have to include the fixed manufacturing overheads. So that's the only slightest difference, but that only slightest difference makes a difference a whole lot. So therefore this is the key things that you have to remember when you calculate our unit product cost and apply these two methods. And do you remember the alternative term for absorption costing, what they call it? So I hope you remember. Now let's look at our case. As always, I always prepare a case for illustration purpose. So in this case, we have a company short name HY. They produce a single product, of course, and they have some information for us, which are this. So number of unit produced annually 25,000. So this is the unit production, the more total unit production that they have, which is 25,000. In terms of variable cost per unit, so that is the variable things. So here we have direct material, direct labor, and variable manufacturing overheads. All in all, after adding up, I got $10 per unit. And you also have some variable costing in terms of selling and admin, which is $3. And we have fixed cost per year, which is given in straightforward manufacturing overhead. So that is fixed manufacturing overhead, and that is fixed selling and admin, which is $100,000. So let's see how we can calculate the unit product cost from this. So as we mentioned, in terms of their approaches and terminologies and characteristics, so when we calculate the absorption costing wise unit production cost, what we have to include, this is common thing for everyone. So direct materials, direct labor, and variable manufacturing overheads, so we have to include that, which is $10. Of course, we have already seen that in previous slide. And here for fixed manufacturing overheads, because absorption costing, we have to include the fixed manufacturing overheads. Now this data $10 is per unit wise, so we have to figure out the per unit wise in terms of fixed manufacturing overhead, because this is what we are calculating, unit product cost. That means production cost per unit. So if you take any whole figure, the whole calculations will actually be wrong, because you are not calculating the unit product cost, you are calculating the total product cost, which you cannot do from here. So therefore we have to make sure that you convert everything to unit product cost basis. For example, here I have already converted them as unit wise, so that gives me $10. But for fixed manufacturing overheads, I have to convert it. So how can I convert it? So what is this 25,000? That is the total productions that I have produced per year. And what is this 150,000? That is the fixed manufacturing overheads. That is my information which was displaying to me that this is my fixed overhead cost in terms of manufacturing, and that is my 25,000 units is my per year production. So if I do the division, I get $6. Then of course I have to add them, I get 16 in total unit product cost for absorption costing. If I draw a line here, you see in variable costing there is no fixed overheads here, so it's just $10 and $10, that will stay as it is. So that is the difference between absorption and variable costing. Whenever you do maths, whenever you do computations, preparing a statement, if you see anywhere that if you are being asked to calculate variable and absorption costing, first always do the unit product cost. If you can do this unit product cost, which is actually very easy, then of course your job gets easier. So therefore make sure you always do this. So here I have written some information. For example, of course, this is what we have already talked about in absorption costing and in variable costing, where in variable costing we don't include anything from the fixed manufacturing overheads. So therefore this is variable. Another way, if you get confused what to include or what not to include, you see the terminologies. This is called variable and this is fixed. So do you think we can mix and match here variable and fixed? Not really, because variables are variable cost, fixed are fixed cost. So therefore, even if you get confused what to include, what not to include, if you look at those terminologies, you cannot include fixed cost under the variable cost. That will be totally wrong. You cannot do so. So they are on the two poles. You cannot mix them up. So therefore, when you do these calculations, easier way to remember is under variable costing, I'm not going to put anything from my fixed cost. That's it. In that way, we can easily calculate. But when we calculate absorption costing, we have to include the fixed manufacturing overheads because that is the total costing method. And remember, this is the most common mistakes that everyone does, which is selling and admin. Did I include anything from here in terms of selling and admin cost? Not at all. Why? Because I am calculating production cost. I'm not calculating selling and administrative or period cost. So therefore, we are not going to put anything from selling and admin to my production cost. That will be, again, you will be mixing things up. That is the key in cost accounting. When you mix the cost, although you might have numbers, but they are could be, in terms of overestimated or underestimated, and that will impact your profits. So therefore, you have to be very careful when we calculate these things. So don't include anything from selling and admin. So this is the production cost in terms of production cost per unit, applying both absorption and variable costing. In next, you will see how we can prepare the statements using this unit product cost. So whenever the question is asking for preparing these statements, first thing you have to do is just quickly calculate the unit product cost. Then you go for this statement. All right. So thank you for now. And next slide, next recording, you're gonna see about the statement applying these both two methods. Thank you.